The arrival. The alarm cut through the quiet hum of Delta Station like a knife. Commander Rax lifted his head from the daily reports, his three eyes blinking in sequence. The sound meant only one thing. An unidentified vessel had entered their space. "Report," Rax said, his voice calm. In 40 years of service, he had seen countless ships arrive at this trading post. Pirates, merchants, diplomats. None of them worried him anymore. His second officer, Vorn, stared at the display screen. His scales had turned pale, almost white. "Sir, it's a human ship." The control room fell silent. Every officer stopped working. Some stood up from their stations. One dropped a data pad and it clattered on the metal floor. Rax felt his chest tighten. "Just one ship?" "Yes, sir. Single vessel. Small class. The readings say it's called the Wanderer." The name hit Rax like a physical blow. Even he had heard of that ship. Stories traveled across the galaxy, whispered in trading posts and military academies. The Wanderer. The ship that had once faced 30 pirate vessels and left none alive. The ship that had saved a colony from certain death. The ship that broke every rule and somehow always survived. "How many humans on board?" Rax asked. Vorn checked his screen. "3, sir." "Just 3. 3 humans. 3 members of the species that had appeared in galactic space only 50 years ago. 3 representatives of the race that made every other species nervous." Rax stood and walked to the main viewing screen. The Wanderer appeared on the display. It looked ordinary, small, maybe 100 meters long. The hull showed marks from old battles. The design seemed simple, almost primitive compared to the sleek vessels of the other races. "Why does everyone look so afraid?" Rax asked. "It's just one old ship." Vorn turned to him. "Sir, you weren't at the Battle of Kelros. No one on this station was at Kelros. That was 30 years ago." "My father was there," Vorn said quietly. "He served on the Bright Wing. He watched what the humans did that day." Other officers nodded. They all had stories. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters. Everyone knew someone who had encountered humans in combat, and none of the stories ended well for the humans' enemies. "Sir, the human ship is requesting docking permission," a young officer said. "They're following all standard protocols. Very polite." "That makes it worse," someone muttered. Rax understood. Aliens could predict other aliens. The Kresh fought with honor. The Torn used logic and mathematics. The Bellin preferred massive force. Everyone had rules, patterns, strategies that could be studied and countered. But humans? Humans had no pattern. They fought like they were making it up as they went along. They used weapons in ways the manufacturers never intended. They turned mining equipment into bombs and cargo ships into war vessels. They won battles they should have lost and did it while making jokes. "Sir, 6 merchant ships are requesting emergency departure," another officer reported. "They're leaving their cargo behind." Rax watched the screen as ship after ship disengaged from the station and jumped to hyperspace. They were running from 3 humans and 1 old ship. "Sir, we need to respond to the docking request," Vorn said. "If we refuse, we insult them." "If we insult them." "I know," Rax cut him off. Everyone knew. Humans held grudges. They remembered insults. They might forgive, but they never forgot. And an insulted human was far more dangerous than an angry one. Rax made his decision. "Grant them docking permission." "Bay 7, full honors, sir." Vorn's voice cracked. "We are a council station. We welcome all member races. The humans have been part of the council for 20 years. We will treat them with respect." "Yes, sir," Vorn said, but his hand shook as he sent the message. The response came immediately, a human voice speaking perfect galactic common with a strange accent that made every word sound casual and friendly. "Delta Station, this is Captain Jack Stone of the Wanderer. Thank you for the welcome. We're just here for supplies and maybe a hot meal. We'll be on our best behavior, promise." The way he said promise made it sound like a joke. Humans joked about everything. They joked during peace. They joked during war. They had even joked while their home planet was being invaded centuries ago. Rax watched the Wanderer glide toward Bay 7. In a few minutes, the airlock would open. He would meet them face to face. He was about to encounter the most unpredictable, dangerous, and inexplicably successful species in the galaxy, and he had absolutely no idea what to expect. The legend unfolds. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Commander Rax stood in the docking bay with 20 security officers behind him. He had ordered them to carry weapons but keep them lowered. A show of force but not aggression. He hoped the humans would understand the difference. 3 figures stepped through the airlock. They wore simple blue uniforms with no armor, no visible weapons. The one in front was tall with gray hair and lines around his eyes. He smiled when he saw Rax. "Commander," the human said, extending his hand. "I'm Captain Jack Stone. This is my engineer, Lisa Park, and my pilot, Mike Torres." Rax stared at the hand. He knew this human custom. He reached out and gripped it. The human's hand was warm, strong, but not threatening. Stone shook once and released. "Welcome to Delta Station," Rax said. His voice sounded steadier than he felt. "Beautiful station you have here," Stone said, looking around. "We've been in deep space for 3 months. Good to see civilization again." The way he said it, so casual, so relaxed, made Rax more nervous than any threat could. This was a man who had faced death countless times, yet he stood here like he was visiting an old friend. "I've prepared quarters for you," Rax said. "And you mentioned supplies?" "Just the basics. Food, water, some replacement parts if you have them. We're not picky." Stone smiled again. "Though I have to ask, why did half your station evacuate when we showed up?" Silence. No one wanted to answer that question. Stone laughed. It was a genuine sound, not mocking. "It's okay. We're used to it." "Humans make people nervous. Why is that?" Rax asked before he could stop himself. Stone tilted his head. "You really want to know?" "Yes," the captain looked at his crew. Lisa shrugged. Mike nodded. Stone turned back to Rax. "Let me tell you a story. 30 years ago, when humans first started exploring this part of space, we sent out colony ships. Slow, unarmed, full of families. A pirate coalition saw an easy target." Rax felt his stomach drop. He knew this story. Everyone did. 50 pirate ships attacked one colony vessel, Stone continued. 5,000 families, mostly children. The colony ship sent a distress signal. One military ship responded. The Defiant. "One ship against 50, Vorn whispered. "The pirates thought it was a joke," Stone said. "They sent a message telling the Defiant to surrender or watch the colony ship burn. You know what Captain Rodriguez said?" Rax shook his head. She said, "You just made a terrible mistake." Stone started walking. Rax and his officers followed. The human seemed to know where he was going, even though he had never been on the station before. The Defiant was outgunned, outmanned, and everyone watching thought it was a suicide mission. The pirates held every advantage. They had studied human weapons, human tactics. They thought they knew what to expect. "What happened?" a young officer asked. "Captain Rodriguez didn't fight fair," Stone said. "She used the asteroid field near the colony ship. She hid the Defiant inside it, used the rocks as shields. The pirates followed. Bad idea." Lisa spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. "The captain had the crew attach explosives to asteroids. Turn them into mines. The pirates flew right into them. That's against the rules of combat," Vorn said. "Human combat has no rules," Mike said. He was shorter than Stone, with quick eyes that never stopped moving. "We fight to win, not to look good doing it." Stone nodded. 20 pirate ships destroyed in the first 10 minutes. The rest tried to retreat. Rodriguez wouldn't let them. She chased them through the field, picking them off one by one, used their own wreckage as weapons, rammed some of them, even detonated the Defiant's escape pods remotely to create shrapnel clouds. She sacrificed escape pods? Rax couldn't believe it, didn't need them. She wasn't planning to lose. Stone stopped at a viewing window overlooking the station's main hub. By the end, all 50 pirate ships were destroyed or disabled. The Defiant limped back to the colony with hull breaches and failing systems, but it survived. Rodriguez and her crew saved 5,000 lives that day. "That's why everyone fears human ships," Lisa said. "Not because they're powerful, because they don't fight like anyone else." Rax looked at the 3 humans. They seemed so normal, so friendly. But beneath that casual exterior was something the galaxy had never encountered before. A species that refused to accept defeat, that turned every disadvantage into a weapon. That made the impossible look routine. "Commander," Stone said, "we're not here to cause trouble. We just want to rest, resupply, and move on. But I need you to understand something." "What?" "The other species in this galaxy fight by rules. Honor codes, tactical doctrines, laws of war. That's good. That's civilized. But humans come from a world where survival meant breaking every rule nature gave us. We learned to fly when we had no wings. We learned to swim when we couldn't breathe water. We learned to survive in places that should have killed us. Stone turned to face Rax directly. So when you ask why everyone's afraid of one human ship, the answer is simple. Because we don't know when we're supposed to lose, and that makes us very, very dangerous. An alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed. A voice came over the speakers. Emergency alert. Distress call from Mining Colony 7. Under attack by raider forces. 15 hostile ships confirmed. All available vessels respond. Rax ran to the nearest control panel. The display showed the attack clearly. The colony had no defenses. The raiders were systematic, professional. They would strip the colony bare and probably kill everyone there. How far? Stone asked. 2 hours at maximum speed, Rax said. But we need at least 20 ships to face 15 raiders. Standard protocol. He looked around. The few ships still docked at the station were merchant vessels, not military. It would take 6 hours to gather a proper response fleet. The colony didn't have 6 hours. Stone looked at his crew. No words were spoken, but something passed between them. A decision made in silence, Commander, Stone said. Request permission to undock. You can't, Rax started. It's just one ship against 15. I know, bad odds. Stone smiled, but this time it wasn't friendly. It was the smile of a predator. For them. Impossible odds. The Wanderer disconnected from Delta Station and turned toward the distant star system where Mining Colony 7 burned. Commander Rax stood in the control room watching the human ship accelerate into the darkness. Sir, we have to follow them, Vorn said. With what ships? Rax gestured at the empty docking bays. Everyone ran when the humans arrived. We have 2 security patrol craft. That's all. Then we take those. Vorn's voice was firm. I need to see this. I need to understand. Rax looked at his second officer. Vorn had served with him for 15 years. He had never seen fear in those eyes before today. But now he saw something else. Curiosity mixed with determination. Prepare both patrol ships, Rax ordered. Full crews. We leave in 5 minutes. The 2 small vessels launched from Delta Station and followed the Wanderer's trajectory. They couldn't match the human ship's speed, but they could track it. Rax sat in the command chair, watching the scanner displays. How long until they reach the colony? He asked. 40 minutes, the scanner officer reported. The raiders are already stripping the mining platforms. 7 civilian ships destroyed. Unknown casualties. Rax felt sick. He had commanded this station for 10 years. That colony fell under his protection zone. He should have been there with a fleet. Instead, he was chasing after 3 humans in 1 ship, hoping they could do what should be impossible. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Wanderer, communications said. Audio only. They're broadcasting on open channels. Play it. Captain Stone's voice filled the cabin. He sounded like he was having a casual conversation. Raiders at Colony 7. This is the human vessel Wanderer. You have 60 seconds to disengage and leave the system. This is your only warning. Silence for a moment. Then laughter came through the speakers. A rough voice responded in broken Galactic common. 1 human ship? You make joke? We have 15 ships. You run now or we add human wreckage to our collection. Okay, Stone said. Can't say I didn't try. Torres, take us in. Park, route all extra power to engines and weapons. Time to show them why nobody attacks colonies in our sector. Your sector? Rax muttered. Humans don't even have a sector. They do now, apparently, Vorn said. The Wanderer reached Colony 7 in 38 minutes. Rax's patrol ships arrived 10 minutes later, hanging back at a safe distance. The battle had already started. 15 raider ships formed a standard defensive grid around the colony. Overlapping fields of fire, mutual support positions, textbook tactics. They expected the human ship to either retreat or try to break through at the weakest point. The Wanderer did neither. It accelerated directly toward the center of the formation at a speed that should have torn the hull apart. The raiders opened fire. Energy weapons lit up space like a lightning storm. The Wanderer flew through it all, shields flashing but holding. Impossible, Rax breathed. Those maneuvers would kill any crew. The gravitational forces alone. Humans can withstand higher G-forces than most species, Vorn said. But this is beyond normal limits. They should all be unconscious. The Wanderer reached the center of the raider formation and suddenly reversed thrust. It spun in place, firing weapons in all directions. Not aimed shots. Not calculated firing solutions. Just constant, overwhelming firepower that forced every raider ship to scatter. They broke the formation, the scanner officer said, shocked. In 30 seconds, they destroyed their own defensive advantage. Now the raiders were individual ships trying to regroup. The Wanderer didn't give them time. It targeted the nearest ship and pursued it through the asteroid field surrounding the mining colony. Captain Stone's voice came through again, still calm. "Torres, remember that trick we pulled at Helios? The stupid one that almost killed us?" Mike's voice responded. "That's the one. I love that trick." The Wanderer flew straight at an asteroid. At the last second, it rolled 90 degrees and fired its main engines. The blast struck the asteroid, sending it spinning toward a raider ship. The raider tried to evade but wasn't fast enough. The rocks smashed into its side, crushing the hull. "They used their own engines as a weapon," Vorn whispered. The Wanderer didn't stop. It wove through the asteroid field, using the rocks as cover and weapons. It fired mining charges, civilian explosives meant for breaking rocks at pursuing raiders. It detonated fuel pods near enemy ships, creating temporary fireballs in the vacuum of space. Nothing it did followed military doctrine. Everything it did worked. "Sir, the raiders are regrouping," Scanner reported. "They're forming a new position near the colony's main platform." Using the civilians as shields, Rax felt cold. That was smart. Even humans wouldn't risk civilian lives. The raiders could hold that position indefinitely, or so he thought. "Park," Stone's voice came through. "Can you hack their communications?" "Already on it, Captain. Their encryption is a joke." 30 seconds later, the raider ship suddenly broke formation. They scattered in different directions, firing at each other. 3 ships collided. 2 more fled the system entirely. "What just happened?" Rax demanded. Vorn checked his instruments. The human engineer sent false commands through the raider network, told different ships that others had betrayed them. "They're fighting each other now. That's brilliant," Rax said. "That's cheating," his tactical officer said. "No," Vorn corrected. "That's human." The chaos lasted 2 minutes. When it ended, 8 raider ships were destroyed or disabled. 4 had fled. 3 remained, regrouping for a final stand. Then the scanner picked up a new contact. A massive ship entering the system. Rax's blood turned to ice. "Battleship class," scanner reported. "Raider command vessel. It's 3 times the size of the Wanderer. Weapons signature shows enough firepower to destroy a small fleet." The battleship moved into position between the Wanderer and the colony. Its commander broadcast on all channels. "Human ship. You have fought well. But this ends now. Surrender or die." The Wanderer stopped. It hung in space, tiny compared to the massive battleship. Rax could see the damage on its hull. Shields weakened. Weapons probably depleted. Any sane commander would retreat. Captain Stone's response came after a long pause. "Well, this just got interesting." Then the Wanderer turned and accelerated directly toward the battleship. "No," Rax said. "No, that's suicide. Even humans can't." But the human ship didn't slow down. It charged straight at the massive vessel like a missile aimed at a mountain. And somewhere inside that small, damaged ship, 3 humans were probably smiling. The human factor inside the Wanderer. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across every panel. The ship shook as the battleship's weapons locked on. Captain Jack Stone sat in his command chair, calm as still water. "Park, how are those shields?" "At 30%, Lisa called from the engineering station. 1 more direct hit and we're flying on hope and prayers." "Good thing we're human," Mike said from the pilot seat. "We're experts at hope and prayers. And impossible maneuvers," Stone added. "Torres, remember what I taught you about fighting bigger ships? The bigger they are, the slower they turn." "Exactly. So let's dance." The Wanderer dove as the battleship fired. A beam of energy passed through the space where they had been seconds before. Mike rolled the ship, accelerated, then cut engines completely. The sudden silence was deafening. "What are they doing?" Rax asked on his patrol ship, watching the scanner. "They just stopped moving." "No," Vorn said, studying the display more carefully. "They're drifting. They cut all power. The battleship's sensors are looking for engine signatures." The battleship fired again, targeting empty space. The Wanderer floated past the blast, invisible to the enemy's tracking systems. "Now, Torres," Stone said quietly. The Wanderer's engines roared to life. It was already inside the battleship's defensive perimeter. Too close for the main guns to target. Mike flew along the massive hull, so close that the Wanderer's shield scraped against the battleship's armor. "Park, find me a weakness," Stone ordered. Lisa's fingers flew across her console. "Scanning. Their power distribution is standard Krell design. Main reactor in the center, fuel lines running along the outer hull to secondary batteries. If we can rupture one fuel line, the fire will spread to the others, Stone finished. I love it when we steal their own power. Target the fuel junction near Section 7. Captain, our weapons are nearly depleted, Lisa said. We might get one good shot. Then we make it count. Mike flew the Wanderer in a spiral pattern around the battleship. The enemy vessel tried to track them, but the human ship moved too fast, too unpredictably. Every time the battleship's guns turned to fire, the Wanderer was already somewhere else. On the patrol ship, Rax watched in amazement. They're not just fighting. They're learning. Every pass they make, they're testing the battleship's response time. That's the human way, Vorn said. They don't plan the entire battle before it starts. They adapt during the fight. It's maddening to face because you can never predict what they'll do next. Inside the Wanderer, Stone studied the tactical display. He had made 6 passes around the battleship. Each time he noted how fast the guns tracked where the blind spots were, how the commander reacted to different threats. I've got it, he said. Their commander is a by-the-book tactician. He follows the standard defense protocols. Torres' next pass fake an attack on their command bridge. He'll shift all guns to protect it. And leave the fuel junction exposed, Mike grinned. You're a genius, Captain. I'm a human. We cheat. The Wanderer made its next pass, accelerating toward the battleship's bridge. Every gun on that side of the ship swiveled to intercept. The human vessel jinked left, right, spinning through the defensive fire. Then it suddenly reversed course and dove under the battleship's belly. Now park. Fire everything. The Wanderer's remaining weapons fired in one concentrated burst. The beam struck the fuel junction precisely. For a moment nothing happened. Then fire bloomed across the battleship's hull. Fuel lines ruptured in sequence, each explosion triggering the next. The massive ship shuddered as internal explosions tore through its power systems. They did it, Rax whispered. They actually did it. The battleship went dark. Emergency lights flickered across its hull. Its weapons fell silent. The mighty vessel hung in space, crippled but not destroyed. Stone's voice broadcast on all channels. Raider battleship, this is Captain Stone. Your weapons are offline. Your engines are dead. You're helpless. I could finish you right now. Silence from the battleship. But I won't, Stone continued. I'm going to do something that will confuse you. I'm offering you medical aid and safe passage out of this system. Send your wounded to our ship. We'll treat them and send them back. Captain, Lisa said quietly, we barely have medical supplies for ourselves. Then we share what we have, Stone replied. That's what humans do. Rax leaned forward in his chair. He's offering mercy. After they tried to kill him? That's the part other species never understand about humans, Vorn said softly. They fight without mercy during battle. But after, they help their enemies. They heal them. They make peace. It's illogical. No, Rax said, finally beginning to understand. It's human. The battleship commander's voice came through, filled with confusion. Why would you help us? We tried to destroy you. Because the fight is over, Stone said simply. And humans believe in second chances. Send your wounded. We'll help them. Then you leave this system and never come back. Deal? A long pause. Deal. Over the next hour, the Wanderer took on wounded raiders. Lisa and Mike worked to stabilize them with their limited supplies. Captain Stone stood at the airlock, greeting each injured enemy like they were guests, not prisoners. Rax's patrol ships finally reached the colony. He docked and walked through the Wanderer's corridors to find Captain Stone. The human looked tired. His uniform was stained with blood, his own and others. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, Rax said. Stone shrugged. Just another day. We saw people in trouble, we helped. That's all. You faced impossible odds and won. The odds are only impossible if you believe in them, Stone smiled. Humans learned a long time ago that impossible just means nobody's figured it out yet. But why show mercy? Why help your enemies? Stone looked at the wounded raiders being carried back to their ship. Because today's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. Because killing should never be easy or enjoyable. And because we're human. We're supposed to be better than the worst things we can do. He turned to Rax. Commander, the galaxy is afraid of us because we don't follow your rules. But that works both ways. We don't just break rules about combat. We break rules about mercy, forgiveness, and hope too. Rax watched the last raider being helped back to the battleship. The wounded alien looked back at the humans who had saved him. Confusion and gratitude mixed on his face. And Rax finally understood. The galaxy wasn't just afraid of human weapons or tactics. They were afraid of human unpredictability in all things. Their capacity for both terrible violence and unexpected kindness. One ship had defeated 15 raiders and crippled a battleship. But the real victory was what came after. The moment when humans showed that the same creativity they used for destruction could be used for healing. That was the true power of humanity. And it was more terrifying than any weapon. Understanding fear 3 days later, Commander Rax sat in his office aboard Delta Station. The Wanderer was still docked, its crew finishing repairs. The story of the battle at Colony 7 had already spread across the galaxy. Ships that had fled were returning. Merchants who had avoided human space were suddenly curious. Rax had spent those 3 days reviewing the battle recordings, watching the impossible maneuvers, studying the tactics that should not have worked. And the more he watched, the more he understood why the galaxy feared humanity. A chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter." Captain Stone walked in carrying 2 cups of something hot. "Thought you might want coffee. Human drink. Helps with thinking." "Thank you." Rax took the cup. The liquid was dark and smelled strange. He sipped carefully. Bitter, but somehow pleasant. Stone sat down without being invited. Another human trait, ignoring formal protocols when they seemed unnecessary. "You wanted to talk?" "I need to understand," Rax said. "Why does everyone fear humans?" "I've seen the battle recordings 100 times. Yes, you fought well. Yes, you won against impossible odds. But you're not the only species that can fight." "That's true," Stone agreed. "The Kresh are better warriors. The Torn have smarter tactics. The Bellin have bigger ships. On paper, dozens of species are more dangerous than humans. Then why?" Stone set down his cup. "Let me tell you about Earth, our home planet. It tried to kill us for millions of years. Predators that were faster and stronger. Diseases that wiped out entire populations. Weather that froze us or burned us. Earthquakes, floods, volcanoes. Our own planet wanted us dead. Many species faced harsh worlds," Rax said. "Yes, but here's the difference. Other species adapted to their worlds. Changed themselves to fit the environment. Grew thicker skin, sharper teeth, better eyes. Evolution made you fit your planets." Stone leaned forward. "Humans did the opposite. We changed the planet to fit us." "I don't understand." "We had no fur, so we killed animals and wore their skins. We couldn't run fast, so we invented wheels. We couldn't fly, so we built aircraft. We couldn't breathe underwater, so we made submarines. Every time nature said you can't, we said watch us." Stone stood and walked to the window overlooking the station. "That's why you fear us, Commander. Not because we're strong, because we don't accept limits. Every other species in this galaxy has rules. Things you believe can't be done, lines you won't cross. And humans? We cross every line. Test every limit, break every rule that doesn't make sense to us." Stone turned back. "At Colony 7, your tactical doctrine said we needed 20 ships to fight 15 raiders. That's logical. That's smart. But we only had 1 ship and people needed help, so we went anyway." Rax thought about this. "You fight without logic." "No, we fight with different logic. We ask what needs to be done, not what are we supposed to do." Stone picked up his coffee again. When that battleship showed up, any sane commander would have retreated. But retreating meant the colony would die. So we didn't retreat, simple. But you could have died, yes, but we might have won. And might is better than definitely not when lives are at stake. Stone smiled. That's the human calculation. Risk versus reward. We risk a lot because we value living things more than we value safety. Rax felt something shift in his understanding. So the fear is not about violence. It's about unpredictability. Exactly. The galaxy has rules. Predictable rules. Species act according to their nature. Wars follow protocols. Peace follows treaties. Everything has a pattern. Stone gestured at the window. Then humans show up and ignore all of it. We make allies of enemies. We fight battles we should lose. We show mercy when we should take revenge. We're chaos in a universe that values order. That's terrifying, Rax admitted. I know, and I'm sorry for that. Stone's voice was sincere. We don't mean to scare everyone. We're just being ourselves. But I need you to understand something important. What? The same qualities that make us dangerous also make us valuable. Stone sat back down. We don't give up. We don't accept defeat. We don't believe in impossible. That means when everyone else says something can't be done, we try anyway. Sometimes we fail. But sometimes we succeed when no one else would have even attempted. Rex thought about Colony 7. About the 500 miners who were alive, because 3 humans refused to accept impossible odds. You saved those people, he said, quietly. We did what needed to be done. Any decent person would have tried. No, Rack shook his head. Any decent person would have called for reinforcements and arrived too late. You arrived impossibly fast, won an impossible battle, and showed mercy to your enemies. That's not normal decency. That's human, Stone smiled. I'll take that as a compliment. They sat in silence for a moment. Rack sipped the strange human coffee and looked out at the Wanderer. Still small. Still old. Still just one ship. But now he understood. It wasn't about the ship. It was never about the ship. Commander, Stone said. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you still afraid of us? Rax considered the question carefully. Was he afraid? He thought about the battle recordings, the impossible maneuvers, the casual attitude toward death, the unpredictable tactics. Yes, he said honestly, but now I understand what I'm afraid of. And what's that? Change. Rax looked at the human captain. The galaxy has been stable for 200 years. We know our place. We follow the rules. Everything is predictable and safe. Then humans arrive and prove that all our rules are just suggestions, that our limits are self-imposed, that our impossible is your Tuesday afternoon. Stone nodded. And that threatens everything you built. Yes, because if humans can do the impossible, then what else is possible? If one ship can defeat 15, then all our military calculations are wrong. If enemies can become friends through mercy, then all our peace treaties are based on false assumptions. If the rules can be broken, then nothing is certain anymore. That's a good analysis, Stone said. You're right. We are a threat to your stability, not because we want to destroy it. Because we make people question it. Rack set down his cup. His hands were steady now. The fear was still there, but it had changed. It was no longer the fear of the unknown. It was the fear of the known, the certain knowledge that the galaxy was changing, and humans were the reason why. Captain Stone, I have one more question. Go ahead. If humans are so dangerous, so unpredictable, so threatening to the established order, why do I feel safer knowing you're out there? Stone's smile was warm and genuine. Because deep down, Commander, you know that predictability isn't the same as safety. The raiders at Colony 7 were predictable. They attacked, they destroyed, they followed their pattern. We were unpredictable. We showed up when we shouldn't have, fought when we should have run, and won when we should have died. He stood and offered his hand again. The galaxy fears us because we represent change. But change isn't always bad. Sometimes change means people live who would have died. Sometimes it means finding new solutions to old problems. Sometimes it means that the impossible becomes possible. Rack stood and gripped the human's hand. Will there be more ships? More humans in our space? Eventually. We're explorers by nature. We like seeing what's over the next hill, past the next star. But we'll try to be good neighbors. And if trouble comes, then we'll do what we did at Colony 7. We'll help. Because that's what humans do. We see someone in trouble and we can't walk away. Even when it's dangerous. Even when it's stupid. Even when it's impossible. Stone released his hand and walked to the door. He paused before leaving. Commander, one last thing. That fear you feel? Hold on to it. Not because you need to be afraid of us specifically, but because fear of the unknown keeps you cautious. Keeps you thinking. Keeps you from becoming too comfortable with how things are. Is that human wisdom? That's experience. The moment you stop fearing the unknown, you stop growing. The moment you stop questioning the rules, you stop adapting. And anything that stops adapting eventually dies. Captain Stone left. Rack stood alone in his office, looking out at Delta Station. Ships were docking again. Trade was resuming. Life was returning to normal. But nothing was truly normal anymore. 3 humans in one ship had changed everything. Not through conquest or threat. Through action. Through proving that the impossible was just difficult. Through showing that mercy was as powerful as weapons. Rax thought about the other species in the galaxy. The ones who followed rules, maintained order, kept to their patterns, safe, predictable, comfortable. And he thought about humans. Chaotic, unpredictable, impossible. The galaxy would never be the same. One ship had shown them what was possible. What happened when someone refused to accept limits? What it meant to be human. Rax picked up his cup of coffee and drank it. Bitter and strange, but somehow right for this moment. He was still afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of chaos, afraid of the unknown future that humans represented. But he was also grateful, because that fear meant he was alive, alert, ready to adapt. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real lesson. Fear wasn't the opposite of safety. Comfort was. The galaxy had been comfortable for too long. Humanity had arrived and nothing would ever be impossible again. The end.